Today we are going to talk about other types of equations and how to solve them. And the first one is absolute value. Do you guys remember what absolute value means?
Yeah, distance away from zero.
It's how far a number is from zero. So if I said, what's the absolute value, what would x be where it's 3 units away from zero? What answers could I be?
Plus or minus 3.
Plus or minus 3. Because 3, absolute value is how far that number is from 0. So the number 3 is 3 units away from 0. And so is negative 3. Now if you were to put negative 3 in here, take the absolute value of it, you get 3. And you put positive 3, you get a positive 3. Now, if we asked you to find the absolute value of a number that's a negative 3, what would you say the answer is?
No solution.
There's no solution, because when you take the absolute value of a number, it's going to come out positive. So you'll never get this as no solution. So if this number is greater than 0, there's going to be 2 answers. What about if it's equal to 0? It's only one answer, and it's 0. Okay? So now, here's your first example. How do you do the absolute value of x minus 4 is equal to 8? I want to find, instead of doing it in my head, I want to know what 2 numbers, if you took it and subtracted 4, took the absolute value, you're going to get 8 units.
Break it into 2 problems.
You're going to break it into 2 problems. So you have x minus 4 equals 8, and x minus 4 equals negative 8, and then solve. Remember this?
Yeah.
This is from 9th grade. Now, why do these 2 answers of 12 and negative 4 work? Because when you put negative 4 in here, negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8, absolute value of negative 8 is 8. And 12 minus 4 is positive 8, absolute value of positive 8 is 8. So these are 2 solutions that work for this problem.
Are we going to get extraneous?
Yes. Now, extraneous solutions will occur on some of these problems. For example, this one right here. It says absolute value of x plus 4 is equal to 5x minus 2. How am I going to break this up into 2 problems? X plus 4 equals 5x minus 2, or what's the other one? X plus 4 equals the opposite of 5x minus 2. So solving this side, if we subtract an x, you get 4 equals 4x minus 2. Add 2, you get 6. And divide by 4. What's your answer on this side? 3/2. On this side, we have to distribute the negative. Add 5x. Subtract. Divide. And simplify. Now, here's an indication that you may have an extraneous solution because of this x here. Now I can tell you when you plug in 1.5, I'll use my calculator. Does it work? So I'm going to put 1.5 in here. 1.5 plus 4 gives us 5.5. And the absolute value of 5.5 is 5.5. Now if I put 1.5 in here, 5 times 1.5 minus 2, I get 5.5. So this one works. This answer works. This one is not going to work. I don't even have to plug it in. You know why I know? Because when I put a negative number right here for x, that's going to give me a negative number minus another negative is a negative. And I know I don't even have to do this problem. The absolute value of anything is going to come out positive. So this one's going to give us a positive on one side and a negative on the other. Does a positive number ever equal a negative? So this one is no, this is extraneous. This does not work. So the only answer is 3/2 of 1.5. Now last year in Algebra 2, you never saw, when we did the absolute values, they looked like this, or problem number 1. Why does this one look different? This is different. Anyone see anything different in the absolute value?
Square.
It's a quadratic, yeah. So again, how are you gonna break this up into what two problems? X squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 2. X squared plus 4x minus 3 equals -2. Now, if this 2 right here were a negative number, you'd say no solution, but you're gonna break it up into +2 and -2. Now, what kind of ways can you solve this? We reviewed it yesterday. What's the first thing you're gonna wanna do? You're gonna bring 2 over to the other side. Remember this? You're setting it equal to 0. And now factor, can you factor this? And your two answers are -5 and 1. And on this side, unfortunately, add 2. Unfortunately, you can't factor this one. So this is a good one to review. I would complete the square because this is an even number. Add 1. Half of this squared. Factor, this is what you did yesterday. And then square root both sides. So you get x plus 2 equals plus or minus √6, and then add, subtract 2. And you're gonna wanna check your answers to see if they work. Flip it over. What's the next kind of other equation that you're gonna solve? Equations that deal with radicals. Do you remember how to solve this one?
Just square.
Before you square, what do you want to do with this 5?
Get that 5 over there.
You want to subtract 5. Now you're going to square both sides. When you isolate this radical on that side, then you're going to square both sides. On the left, what is √3x minus 11 squared equal to? 3x minus 11. And then what is x minus 5 quantity squared? Is it x squared plus 25?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
You're going to FOIL this.
Oh, good point.
You got to FOIL this. This
Minus
is a common.
10x plus 25.
So it's x squared minus 10x plus 25. And you should all be able to do that.
True.
Now what you're going to do is set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 3x and add 11.
So general.
So I get 0 is equal to x squared minus 13x plus 36. Can you, this is simply factorable.
So bad.
Minus 4 and minus 9. What are your two solutions? 4 and 9. Now, do these two answers work?
Perhaps.
We have to check to see if it's extraneous. If you plug a 4 in here, what is 3? See if this works. 3 times 4 minus 11. Does this equal 4? And then you're going to do 5 plus, square root of 3 times 9 minus 11. Does that equal 9? So I'm replacing my solutions 4 and 9. Let's see if you get the same thing. 12 minus 1 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. What's 1 plus 5? Does 6 equal 4? This answer was extraneous. This is 27. What's 27 minus 11? 16, square root of 16 is 4, and 4 plus 5 is 9. So this one checks out, it works. X is 9. So please check for extraneous solutions. Problem 5, you guys had trouble with last year. These were one of the more difficult ones, but you still need to know how to do it. When you have two radicals, you're gonna end up squaring both sides twice. So what should I first do before I square the left side? Anyone know what I wanna do with one of those radicals? This radical I would bring to the other side. Why am I picking this one? Because it's negative. Good reason. Now, do you have to pick that one? No. It's just better because you're turning it positive. Now, when you square both sides, see if you know what you get here. On the left, it's easy, 2x minus 3. But on the right, you have two binomials that are 2 plus root x plus 7. So I'm going to write it out. And let's factor. We're going to FOIL. 2, this is another thing you need to know, make sure you know how to do. 2 times 2 is 4. And then you have 2 times root x plus 7 and another 2. Can you do that in your head? 4 root x plus 7. And then what's root x plus 7 times root x plus 7?
X plus.
Now, unfortunately, you're going to see another radical. So your job is to isolate this radical. Keep it on this side. Remove these 3 pieces.
So subtract 4.
You're going to subtract 4. You're going to subtract 7. So really, you're subtracting 11.
Well, X plus.
4 and 7 is 11. Subtract 11. So you have 2x minus 14 equals 4 root x plus 7. And then don't forget your plus x here. Now we're going to subtract an x. You want to get this by itself. Okay, and now, once you've isolated this radical, you want to square both sides again. Square this side and square this side. So I need x minus 14 squared. What is x minus 14 squared? Minus. X minus 14
Oh, okay.
quantity squared. So it's x minus 14 times, this is what you have, x minus 14 times x minus 14. So it'd be x squared minus 28x, and then plus 196, equals, and this is all review stuff. Do you know what that is? 4 times the square root of x plus 7, quantity squared. It'd be 16 times x plus 7. Which is 16x plus 112. Now what do you think you're going to do? Subtract 16x, subtract 112. You want a 0 on one side. This is 84. Now, we need to think, what two numbers multiply to give you 84 but add to be negative 44? Is that right? No. 42 and negative 2. Those two multiply to give you 84, add to be negative 44. And then your two solutions are x is 2 and x is 2 and x is 42. Now, what do you have to do at this point? Again, you have to check these two answers to see one of them may be extraneous. Another type of equation Let's check it to see which one works. They may both work. Not sure. Let's plug in, I'm taking a scratch sheet of paper, and I'm gonna plug 42 in. 42, so square root of 2 times 42 minus 3 minus 42 plus 7. Does this equal 2? Try that one first. What's 2 times 42? 84. And 84 minus 3 is 81. What's the square root of 81? 9. This is 49, 7, so that works. 9 minus 7 is 2. So that one works. That's a good answer. And how about 2? So we're going to put a 2 in here. So 2 times 2 minus 3 minus 2 plus 7. Does this equal 2? Well, that's 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. This one does not work. This is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 1 minus 3 does not equal does not equal 2. It equals negative 2. So, this answer is garbage. It's extraneous. It's a fake solution. So the only answer that works for this is 42. Does everyone understand that? Okay, the last type of other equation is a fraction. Do you remember, if you have a fraction, you're supposed to factor it completely and see if anything cancels. So let's factor the numerator. How do you factor 6x squared minus x minus 1? Both of these, I'm going to tell you, are factorable. And how do you factor them? It's the guess and check one. So I'm going to put 3x, 2x, negative 1, positive 1. See if this works. 3x, 6x squared, minus 3x plus 2x is negative 1x, and then minus 1. Now here, 2x squared, you get 2x and an x. I'm going to put a plus 5 and a minus 1 here. That's going to give us 10 minus 1 is 9x. What cancels? Those. So you're simplifying this problem to be that.
And then you just multiply.
No, we're not going to multiply across. You could actually, if you think of this as a 1, but what you're basically doing is taking a look at the numerator. We never want to set the denominator equal to 0 because it would be undefined. So all you have to do, if you have a fraction set equal to 0, the numerator must equal 0. So if you set 3x plus 1 equal to 0 and solve, what answer do you get? Negative 1/3, and that's your answer.
I like this one.
You like that one?
Yeah, just forget the denominator.
Yeah, the denominator is, after you cancel like terms,
Zero.
like factors, you just set the numerator equal to 0.
It's irrelevant.
Now what if, question for you, what if this was not cancelable? Let's say this was 2x plus 1. Then you would set both of these equal to 0. So your two answers would be negative 1/3 and 1/2. But because we canceled them, this is no longer a solution. It's gone.
I get it.
Okay, last type of problem.
It's too early in the year to start working with pi right now.
This one is called a literal equation. Do you remember, if I gave you area is equal to length times width, and I asked you to solve for W, what would you do? You divide by L, right? So literal equations are equations that have more than one variable. And sometimes we need to play around with these equations and solve for a different letter. But now your literal equations are going to look a little bit more complicated. For example, this one. You don't need to know what t equals 2 pi times the square root of m over g. I think this is a physics equation. That's not what I'm testing you on. I'm testing you on, do you have the ability to unsolve this, unravel this, and get g alone? So you have to know the operations involved to get, you want to get at this g right here, which is in the denominator of a radical. So undoing all this, what would be my first step in getting g alone? Yep, I heard it. Divide by 2 pi.
Might not get it.
So, we have t over 2 pi is equal to root m over g.
Can't have a ratio.
Now what are you gonna do?
Gotta Yeah.
Square both sides, good.
can't have.
You're gonna square everything, square both sides. So what do you get on the left side when you square capital T over 2 pi?
T squared. P squared.
You have to square this, and square this. So T squared over 4 pi squared.
Bam. Equals M over
What do you have on the right side?
G.
M over G. Now, I want to get G up on top by itself. The easiest thing to do would be to cross multiply.
Reach out.
So you have T squared G equals 4 pi squared M. Now, how do I get G by itself? So G is equivalent to 4 pi squared M over T squared. This concludes the notes. Now for homework, what you're going to do is practice all that we just did.
You would be crying.
What was it?
Okay, can you turn the camera